Welcome everyone. I am live here at my cozy room to have a philosophical chat with all of you. Feel free to ask me literally any questions whatsoever that you're curious about. It could be about life, the universe, and everything. I will be doing philosophical chats, I think, moving forward here on my personal channel because people really love them on Urbanist. So if you don't know about who I am, my name is Ariel, and I'm a filmmaker and storyteller. I explore cities all around the world via my show, Urbanist. Here on YouTube, it's called Urbanist Exploring Cities, and on Facebook, you can find it as Urbanist Live. And I talk a lot about history, food, and culture. But that is, aside from that being the concept of the show and my main interest, why I also love reading about is spirituality. I love reading about science, and I love reading just in general about intellectual topics. So I just love having deep conversations. So this is not meant to be anything academic or meant to teach anything. I am doing this merely for entertainment purposes. So do your research, whatever we chat about, and I don't have any set of notes or any kind of prior research. This is all for the sake of conversation. So feel free to ask me anything. Hello, MAR, nice to see you here. Welcome. Feel free to ask me anything in the comments below. I am going to set a few things up because this is the first time I'm doing it. So let's see if I can set a few things up in order to share this video and get people tuning in, maybe by sharing it on Urbanist. So bear with me for a few seconds. And let's see if everything here will work out well. So hello everyone. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm Ariel. This is my personal page. And just bear with me. There we go. No. Yes, got it. Okay. MAR, you ask, how about a coffee cocktail? Yeah, man, I would love to grab a coffee cocktail. I wouldn't drink a coffee cocktail unless if I'm out with friends. It's a bit late in the night to have a little bit of coffee, but if I were out with friends, outside, like out and about, I would have a coffee cocktail. Not at home because I'm not expending any energy. So my thinking behind drinking coffee is I gotta expend some type of energy with that coffee. And usually when it comes to chatting, here sitting in my room doing a live stream doesn't expend as much energy as chatting with a group of people, and especially if you end up walking around and going to places. So coffee cocktails I usually leave it when hanging out with people. Hey, I'm trying out this new interface, so bear with me. Hello, I am Victor. How do you deal with stress? Great question. I go through the path of least resistance. The way I end up dealing with stress is first I do whatever is the easiest thing to do at the very moment in time. So that might be literally anything, but I'll give you a few examples. Whenever I'm stressed out, if I just want to take a nap, I'm gonna take a nap. And usually a nap is actually one of the most powerful things to do when stressed out. Because when you take a nap, you kind of refresh. Or I would just meditate for like 10 minutes if that feels right at the moment, if that feels like the easiest thing to do. Especially the more stressed I am, I think the more better it is to close my eyes for 10 minutes in a quiet space and just not entertain any thoughts. Just let them pass by. The other thing is, if it's just easy to sit down and watch a TV show or watch a comedy show, I'll do that. Or if it's easy to put on some incense and listen to some good, relaxing music, I'll do that. So I say do the thing of the that's easiest at the very moment in time. Do the path of least resistance. I think that's the best thing possible. So let me share this with urbanists. So bear with me for a second. And feel free to ask me anything. All right, cool. I end up sharing it with urbanists. Awesome. All right, perfect. All right, cool. There we go. All right, so I am loving this new kind of setup I have here. Really enjoyed the walk today, says MAR. Yeah, I'm glad you did. That was awesome, kind of hanging out with Karen Quiñones. She's such a talented storyteller, so passionate at what she does. No wonder she was picked to be on television for so many episodes. There are over 30 episodes of Mysteries of the Museum. And not all not all tour guides have the ability to tell great story on camera. So I do appreciate that Karen Quiñones is one of those tour guides that just tells an amazing story on camera. So I absolutely loved, and especially the fact that she's all dressed up. It's the coolest thing ever. I think so. So I'm so glad you enjoyed the walk today. Thank you so much. All right, let's see. Cool. All right, perfect. So I let my mind go and I could see old New York. Yeah, that's the great thing is that you can kind of just relax and take in the story. I think one thing that happens is I noticed this on tour guide on people who go on tours or go to like lectures or any type of like presentation where someone is telling you something. One thing I've noticed is that sometimes people go to these things with the intention to kind of like figure out what they're saying, anticipate what they're saying, trying to get one up on what they're saying, and they don't just like let it kind of flow through them, or their mind is racing, maybe resisting whatever they're saying. I've noticed this like, especially when it comes to topics that are a little bit more out there, might be spirituality or personal development or quantum physics or whatever that is. Usually people come in with that mindset of like, oh, I don't believe that. Oh, I don't care about that. Ooh, it's all resistance. And I've noticed that same thing when I tell stories sometimes to certain people. Just you know, they start disagreeing with something in the story or something, and then, people are just not enjoying themselves. I've noticed this especially going to parties where you're just trying to chat with someone and just trying to have some nice small talk, and you can tell that the person is so in their head and that they're not speaking freely, and the conversation is so dull in that moment. So it's great that you were able to let your mind go and just see old New York. That's really awesome. That's really cool. All right, I gotta build myself an audience here because there's my personal page is not so big, so hopefully more and more urbanists will tune in. Hopefully, I will be able to get more people subscribing here at some point. So a lot of people have been loving the philosophical chats. So I thought I would do them more of them because people enjoy them, and I really enjoy doing them. One thing I was actually listening to is intellectual named Douglas Rushkoff. He talks a lot about media theory and how social media works and how the internet works and how technology is. And he talks about literally about any topic, but his specialty is in media and the internet. And he's often on podcasts like Sam Harris or these, like he was on Joe Rogan. And I've noticed like it's awesome listening to an interview. But what if there were like a Sam Harris podcast, but it's like a live conversation, like you're chatting with the audience intellectually. And that's what I kind of maybe want to try with this show. So, hey, Jan Plans. Hello, Ariel, watching. Just hadn't spoke up. Love the chats. Oh, cool. Yeah, feel free to ask me any questions. I actually don't have too much on my mind. So I have nothing really to talk about unless if there's some good questions. All right. I love this, like, just obsessed with this new interface. So if you want to see how I'm I have like my own studio. If you want to see how it is, right here. That's my own studio right there. I got basically my own TV studio here. I got a computer, I got my camera that you're seeing over here. I got where I'm seeing all the camera angles, and my laptop where I can highlight comments if I wanted to. Hello, Aya. Ooh, we got Aya coming in here. Welcome, Aya. Nice to see you here. Did you learn anything from your walk today that you didn't learn? Asked Jan. Yeah, great question. Great question. There we go. Okay. I didn't know about the Battle of Golden Hill. And one thing that's a little bit mind-blowing, learning about the American Revolution, was that, in a way, the war was fought by a ragtag group of people who weren't even really that trained, militarily speaking. And some of them were merchants, so the founding fathers, there were lawyers and they were like farmers and all this mishmash collection of people. And yet they managed to kind of revolt against the biggest empire at that time, which was the British Empire. And that ended up reminding me today when walking with Karen Quiñones, Mrs. Q, talking about the Battle of Golden Hill, where these ragtag of kind of rabble-rousers called the Sons of Liberty, who were just there to stir things up. She even said that they called themselves Liberty Boys. So keep that term in mind because it applies a lot to what's happening today. They were able to get drunk and just brawl with the British military and cause this kind of chaos. So if that happened back in the American Revolution and led to this massive war where we broke off from a bigger country at that time, it goes to show that history is a bit repeating itself today. And I hope it doesn't come to any war, but I end up realizing, wait a minute, you cannot underestimate a small movement. A movement of very loud, very proud, very persistent individuals. A group. You can't overestimate that, because if you do overestimate that, they can somehow overwhelm the system, like the Liberty Boys, the Sons of Liberty, end up overwhelming the British because of their guerrilla warfare technique, and later in the American Revolution, and all the issues that they had monetarily because the British couldn't afford more soldiers, all these things. Shulio, nice to see you here. Feel free to ask me anything. So welcome, Shulio. And Jan says, that's my fear. Yeah, I mean, that's my fear too. The thing is, history, back in the American Revolution, it was a bit more in the even playing field because there was only the rifle, so, and the bayonet, so you can learn how to shoot a rifle, I think, fairly quickly. Thus, the American Revolution, the rebel forces, which were now the Americans, they were able to train fairly quickly, or at least learn while battling. But nowadays, there's a lot more technology, and the technology is on the side of already the established government, so, and the established military. So a ragtag group of people, I think, yes, we cannot underestimate them, but at the same time, can the ragtag group of people actually be an actual threat? And that's what the Chinese thought about the Mongols, because back in ancient China, or not ancient, back in the 1100s, 1200s of China, they had immense technology. They had massive walls. They had the very early beginnings of gunpowder. They had trebuchets, those like huge catapults, and yet some nomadic people on horseback with tiny little crossbows were able to take down the entire Chinese empire, which at the time was the richest, most well-off, and most populous empire in the entire world. So that's kind of crazy to think about. So that was a really big like mismatch in technology. Jan says, I found it interesting that she said that New York was more involved than the Bostonians in the beginning, even though they get more acknowledgement for that. Yeah. They do get more acknowledgement for that. I think Boston had just really great press people who were very good at marketing the revolution. And I actually watched my videos on Boston. I actually showed that Paul Revere made this ingenious propaganda campaign, and let's not call it by a different word, it is propaganda. He got this, made this painting of the British soldiers standing in a line shooting the Americans in a volley. That's what's the name called. So a volley is like they're purposefully stood in line and shot all at the same time. That actually didn't happen. It was more like a brawl, the Boston Massacre. It wasn't really a Boston Massacre, it was more like a Boston Brawl. Because 5 people passed away. And there was no volley. There's many different accounts that have said, both on the American side and the British side, there was no volley. But nonetheless, Paul Revere painted a volley. And by painting that volley, end up stirring up the Americans at that time, the colonists, saying like, oh, damn the British. Hey, Shirley says, can I sneak in? I'll be good. Sure thing, Shirley. Sure thing, you can sneak in. And hello, Preppy. Buenas noches. Puede preguntarme cualquier cosa. Estamos ahora hablando casi de cualquier tópico. Ooh, we got people tuning in. Welcome. Susan says, good evening, Ariel. Yes, today's vid with Mrs. Q was so enlightening. You have no idea how valuable your shows are. This is part of social media now. Use it wisely. Yes, you're doing that. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. I think you hit the nail on the head, which leads to Shulio's question. What do you think about the power of the big tech, Google, Facebook, and social media? I've been doing a lot of thinking on that, actually. One thing I've always had a little bit issue with an urbanist is I've always had like a tough time getting a much bigger audience. So on Facebook, I only have like really one viral live video, and the rest, I usually got like an audience of like 100, 200 people. And then on YouTube now, I'm growing pretty quickly, which is nice. But I have several colleagues of mine who are getting way more views, and they started even shorter time than I did. And the thing is, both on Facebook and YouTube, those colleagues don't really talk too much about history or too much intellectual topics, which is cool. That's why I think their show is awesome in a different regard. But I've been personally frustrated with that. I'm like, why doesn't these kind of topics like stick to people? At least not like, why doesn't like it spread the video? And I was actually shocked recently listening to Sam Harris. Sam Harris, for people who don't know, is kind of a intellect. He talks. He was a neurosurgeon, and he talks a lot about basically all types of intellectual topics. And he was saying that his podcast is very hard to monetize, and really hard to monetize through advertising, because advertisers don't really care too much about putting an ad on an intellectual podcast, even though he reaches a gigantic audience. And also, he said that he wouldn't want to advertise because the advertisement offers there are pretty things that he doesn't care for, things that he doesn't even want to bother helping to advertise, like a mattress or some type of website or something. So he relies on his patrons, his supporters, to directly support his show. And he's a massive, like, right now, one of the biggest podcasters. And he depends directly on his audience. But he was getting to a point where he was saying that social media, maybe YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, those are the top 4 right now. Maybe Snapchat, number 5. Don't really care to show you anything deep, anything with substance. While there are substantive content on these platforms, they don't reach massive audiences. There's a few exceptions, of course, but generally they don't. And I think the reason for that is on all those social media platforms, actually learned this from the amazing documentary movie called The Social Dilemma on Netflix, and a bunch of other people talk about this as well. On social media, you are not the customer. I am not the customer of YouTube. You, Shulio and Susan and Shirley and Preppy and Jan and Aya and Shulio, you guys are not the customer of YouTube. You're not the customer of Facebook. You're not the customer of TikTok. You're the customer of Apple because you buy an iPhone. You're the customer of Sennheiser, the headphone company, because you buy headphones. You're the customer of Poland Springs because you buy water. But you're not the customer of social media. But how is that? You're using social media. In some cases, you might be even paying YouTube, for example, for a YouTube Premium membership. How are you not the customer of social media? The customer is the advertisers, the people putting ads on these platforms, because these platforms are quote unquote free. So the way these companies end up making any type of money is that they monetize the user. You, Shirley, Susan, Shulio, everyone else watching here, myself, we are the product. The customer is the advertiser for all these big social media companies. Why is that problematic? Because it shows that these apps are truly not servicing us. They're servicing the advertiser, so they are priority. But why would that be a bother? It's a bother because the app is designed to get to know you as much as possible, to continue feeding content so people so the platforms can continue feeding you ads. So they want to predict what you're gonna like. They want to know who you like. They want to know what type of videos you gravitate to. They want to know who you have a crush on. They want to know what you had for breakfast last night. They want to know, or last morning. They want to know everything about you. And the more they know about you, the more they can target these advertisements so they can sell it to ad companies, major brands. The thing is, these major brands are not really selling us that many things of substance. Coca-Cola is selling us sugar water. There's countless companies selling us stuff that we actually don't need more of. You know, once you get one mattress from Casper or whatever, Casper, I ended up getting Casper because I was subjugated to those ads. I'm done. I don't need any more mattresses. And that's the problematic thing, is since we are not the priority, we're being used here on these platforms. Now, it's not entirely bad because I've learned so much from YouTube. Filmmaking, I've learned how to do a multi-cam, I switched to the green screen by mistake. I learned how to do a multi-cam live stream via YouTube. I've learned so many things via YouTube. So, that said, what do I think about these big tech companies? I wouldn't invest in them personally. I just end up realizing, like, I'm starting to get into stock market investing, and I would not put any money in these big social media companies because either they have to change or people will start waking up and will start realizing that they're being used for free content. And there will be an appetite for something more substantive, something that doesn't tend to divide us. The thing is, it gets a little bit deeper because these companies know so much about you and they consult psychologists, they consult neuro-linguistic experts, they consult people who know really deeply how your mind works, how your personality works. None of this is coincidence, and all this information you can read about it. Basically, any type of talk where Google employees are at or Facebook employees, they all talk about this, and it's pretty damn public. It's just it's not mainstream because people are not so interested in it yet. So, since they know how to manipulate you, the user, me, the user, then they end up taking advantage of emotions that are easier to monetize. So what emotions are easy to monetize? Let me know. I'm curious. Let me know. What emotions do you think are the easiest to monetize? Okay, so we got some amazing questions. Young people have left in droves from Facebook. Yeah, I think that's happening. And it's very clear today where the division that's happening here in the US and many parts of Europe or do, because there's certain age group on Facebook and there's a certain age group on a different platform, and they're almost like in two different worlds. Does that include TED? I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to, but yeah, I've seen TED Talks before, and I would recommend seeing TED Talks about these topics. There's a few of them. I watched The Social Dilemma, says Jans, and felt very controlled afterwards. Yeah, it kind of like makes you aware of it. Hey, Dylan, nice to see you here. Shirley says, if you walk naked, that would increase people on YouTube to block you. You need to shock. Right. Like if you're an attractive woman, showing more of your body would get you more views. And this is very obvious on TikTok and Instagram especially. I'm not sure so much about YouTube, but I definitely see this on YouTube, on TikTok and Instagram, where a lot of my female friends who want to be content creators, they're resorting to showing more of their body, more of their, more sexual things. So, which is not a bad thing inherently, but it's sad to see that that is what they're pigeonholed to, because that's what the algorithm likes. That's what countless people behind the screen all around the world are kind of liking the photo and zooming in on it and whatnot. So Instagram says, oh, this content is perfect. Let's send it to more people. I'm not talking crazy. People on YouTube find the gimmick. Yeah, a lot of people find the gimmick. Yeah. That's one way to do it. But I don't know. I think I wish platforms were a little bit more beyond gimmicks. And, well, who really watches an entire ad on YouTube? That's a really bad investment for a brand, and makes angry the watchers, says Shulio. The ads that appear before are just the cusp of what you're being fed in terms of advertisement. So on Instagram or Facebook, ads are now embedded into the feed, and they look like a normal post. And if the ad is creative enough, which a lot of them are, they make it look like if it's your friend's post. They make it look like if it's just a normal post. And it's, even if you're looking at it for a few seconds, they end up collecting the data over time, and then they keep feeding you that ad when the artificial intelligence deems it that you're more susceptible to clicking on it. So let's say there was an ad of, let's say you end up getting an ad of like a diet, just a hypothetical for, because this is probably something many people are encountering. You get an ad for this kind of tea that gives you, that claims that you can lose a bunch of weight. You get this on YouTube. Now, with most ads on YouTube, you skip over them because you don't care about the ad. You don't want a mattress. You don't want to build a website. You don't want whatever. You don't want some type of new kitchenware. But you see this ad pop up for this diet, and you say to yourself, just for a few seconds, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, you just watch, but you skip. That's a piece of data that YouTube is using. It might sound completely irrelevant, and to you, it is completely irrelevant. Okay, you saw an ad for 5 seconds out of the 30 that was offered, but they got you for 5 seconds. So YouTube logs that data and says, okay, this person stuck around 5 seconds. That's 4 seconds longer than most other ads. So mark that. Next time you go on, another ad of that same diet. Maybe you stick around again, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Few more times, you end up seeing that ad maybe entirely. and then YouTube starts sending that data to every other platform that Google owns, because YouTube is a part of Google. So you're searching, and Google shows up a little ad about diets. You might not click on it, but Google can track if you're looking at it. Even if you're reading it for a few seconds, Google tracks that. Let's say you go on Facebook. There's, I'm not sure how data is being shared, but I'm inclined to believe that data is being sold from Google, bought by Facebook, and they're constantly switching data sets. But you go on Facebook and then you're searching that, and then you see a post of this influencer with this diet tea. The thing is, this influencer looks like it's just a friend of yours because they posted this diet tea in their kitchen and they're drinking it. They're saying like, oh, this is the best diet tea. But you ignore it, first time. But you ignore it just for a few seconds. You see it and like, oh, keep scrolling. The thing is, they keep showing you that more and more and more and more. And there's not just one influencer selling that tea. There are thousands of influencers selling that tea. And then it's not only just influencers, there's thousands of videos, and there's memes, and there's all these other things that are popping up in all these different platforms, wherever you are. And then somehow, I've seen this happen. I'm tuning in on television, and I see an ad of something that I was interested in. I'm not sure how they got that data, but that ad is being served to me also on TV. So I end up getting all these ads about this one thing. So they end up steering you in the direction that at some point you're going to break and click on that post and buy that tea. And if you end up posting about that tea, then those platforms know, oh, they got you. So they end up steering you in the direction where you end up purchasing that product or just clicking on it. They care more just about the click. The company cares if you buy it. So that said, if that's the case, how do they steer you in the right direction? And a few people are saying if this is live. Yes, it is indeed live. Black, I am indeed live. Hello, Lack. I don't like ads, but put up with them because the YouTube owner gets paid. Surely you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head of a dilemma I go through. I am a content creator. I love making videos. I love telling stories. I love going on walks and showing it to all of you. And the way I can make some money is to put an ad on it. The thing is, you just mentioned an amazing thing, is that the fact that I'm on this platform where one of the few ways I can monetize as an artist is to put ads, then in a way, that ad also acts as a guilt trip for the audience member. And that kind of sucks. Like, I don't want an audience member to feel guilty to be seeing an ad. I don't even want to be in the place where an ad is where an audience member feels like they need to see the ad to just support you. That kind of sucks. I wish there was another way. I'm doing it right now because it's the easiest way for me, just to put an ad. And of course, this feeds to the entire problem, but you gotta do what you gotta do in certain ways. But maybe there's better ways. Maybe there is like the Sam Harris model where you just like remove all ads, you completely rely on the audience. Maybe. It's tough because you got to work up to that. Hey, Linda, you missed my live earlier today and started watching it. Love it so far. Yeah, enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed it. I noticed that also about TV, says Susan. Yeah, yeah, TV ends up feeding you ads very specific to who you are. I don't really understand what the big deal is for collecting data, says MR. What is the harm? Inherently, there is no harm. In my opinion, inherently is not a bad or good thing. It could be used for powerful innovation and technology. You know, the like on Netflix, the data that Netflix collects could lead you to watch the next best movie of your life. That's pretty damn powerful. I have friends who have met through Tinder, a dating app. Tinder, the data they use, they end up using to have two people fall in love. That's pretty damn powerful, I think. But that said, data can also be misused. And this goes back to that question that I asked all of you. What is the easiest emotion to monetize? It ain't love. It ain't happiness. That is not the easiest emotion to monetize. Reverse, when you tend to be in love and when you tend to be happy, you're not looking at your phone. Generally, like if you're deeply in love and you're there with a person that you're in love with, a significant other, someone you're dating, generally your phone time goes way down, way down. Even if you're texting, everything else just kind of goes into the background. And I have had many moments also when I'm like very elated, I'm feeling very happy. I don't even care about seeing my phone. I don't care about going on YouTube. I'm happy. I'm just like whistling and I'm like walking and enjoying the world and I'm like chatting with friends or I'm like kind of just laying in bed and enjoying good music. That's a moment of happiness. And I don't feel incentivized to go on the phone. And if I were to go on the phone, ads probably won't get to me as easy. I'm speaking for myself, but this is also something that many companies have found out to be the case with the majority of human beings. Happiness does not sell, or happiness is not monetizable. Love is not as monetizable. Maybe for certain things, maybe for chocolate, maybe for diamonds, but not for many things. That said, the emotion that's very easy to monetize is anger, sadness, but nothing below sadness. Because what's also hard to monetize is depression and apathy. So you don't want someone to sink so low to be apathetic. If you're hooked on drugs, on opiates, you're not going to be a good person to monetize. If you're in love, if you're happy with the very moment in the now, if you're outside, like I've been many moments of my very recent life, out sitting on the bench watching the birds in utter elation and happiness, I'm not going to be easily monetizable. So if these companies want to keep making money, social media, and believe me, see it for yourself, read any type of article about the money making of these companies, their number one priority is to make money. They might say high-minded goals that they want to connect the world, but their prime goal is to make money. It wouldn't be sustainable otherwise, in our current system at least. So in our current system, the only way a Facebook is worth billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, is because they constantly have to grow their earnings. If you make your users happy, you're not going to grow your earnings. At least not in our current system. At least not with the current paradigm of advertisement being the main customer for these social media platforms. So your data is being used to manipulate the user to act in a way where they're not depressed and they're not in love and in happiness. They're somewhere in between. And what's a great way to get more ads? Advertising. Anger. When you're in anger is a great easy way to monetize, because you get so angry you end up signing up for a diet plan. You're so angry about yourself and how you look, you end up signing up for plastic surgery, or you sign up for this kind of diet tea, or you sign up for a gym. You're so yearning is another one. Yearning and longing. You yearn in your longing. You end up signing up for these new cosmetic routine, or you end up buying an impulse trip to Bali because you're yearning. So data is not bad, but how it's used can be very bad for us, for anyone, for society. So think about that, I think, next time you're scrolling through. I don't think this is something that one should be bummed out about necessarily, because in life, everyone is just trying to figure it out. I think I find very important to always remind myself of that. We're just trying to figure it out. We're doing our best. And even those CEOs and tech companies, social media companies, they're just doing their best. They're just trying to handle their current system, and they're trapped in it. They're trapped in that cycle of trying to get more earnings. And the only way to get more rapid earnings is through advertising. They're trapped in it. Everyone's trying to do their best, but let's not allow our systems and our technology to get the best of us. We don't need to let that continue to happen, because Canyon makes a great comment. It makes people feel inadequate. It's important to not let us get to that level, to let society get to this mass level of inadequacy just because people are making a buck. What is that buck for? To continue some type of economy that is built on consumption of things that we don't really need? Do we really need an extra tea to lose weight? Why are we not outside walking around for hours with friends? Why are our cities not walkable? Why are we not doing light exercise all the time? It's because our cities are not built for walkability. They're built for consumption. Many cities, many suburbs, they're built for us to buy a car every 2 or 3 years, to buy a gigantic TV so we can play games in this isolated house that is a mile away from the nearest bar or coffee shop. Our current world is not built for the happiness of its inhabitants. The current world is built on inadequacies. You can pay YouTube to not see them. It's okay, says Shirley. Yeah, but think about this. You're paying a company for them not to feed you ads. You're paying a company. Uh, yeah, you're paying a company to not feed you ads. I think that's okay. I think that's why I like Netflix. But yeah, I think that would be a ideal model if somehow that is the case with a lot of places where you could just pay a monthly fee and never deal with advertisement. That would be amazing. But the thing is, ads still get through to the end user. So even though I'm paying, I also pay for YouTube Prime or YouTube Premium membership. I don't see any ads. What are they called? Pre-roll ads and mid-roll ads. I don't see any of those, like you, surely. But a YouTuber is still doing a sponsored post, and I, 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 I don't do so many sponsored posts because I don't want to constantly advertise to you. So I'm pretty much rare, maybe with my colleagues in the walking space, because we're not in that world where we can have the option to advertise a bunch of stuff. But you see this with people who are makeup influencers, who are beauty influencers, who are supermodels, who are like fashion people, with tech people. They're constantly advertising. They're constantly being sponsored in their videos. And it's not bad that they're making money off their work. That's not a bad thing. I think it's important to go beyond a little bit, beyond bad or good. But since they're constantly being fed all this sponsorships, you're still being advertised to. Even if you follow, Sally from Michigan, who is a beauty influencer, and she's very nice, but she's still being sponsored all the time. So you're still learning about that diet tea. And Sally does it because she loves making content. She loves talking about beauty and talking about other things. She loves making content. She loves photography. She loves modeling. She loves that, whatever. This is just a random example. Sally from Michigan doesn't exist, but Sally wants to make a living, and the easiest way and the most efficient way is to monetize her own work by adding a sponsor. So how can you blame Sally? You can't blame Sally from Michigan. But then again, why is our system built in a way where I'm not getting any of the cut, or I'm getting very little of the cut from the YouTube Premium membership? That YouTube gets way more YouTube Premium memberships. All right. So it's not worthy to worry like that. Surely, I don't think. For me personally, it's not much about worry. I think a little bit about it a little bit more critically, because I am in this industry. I am on social media, so I am thinking about it more critically. But it's not worry. Don't worry. It's not worry. It's not limiting my sleep. I'll tell you that. How much of your audience is outside of the U.S.? Ooh, you know what? I thought I a lot of my most active people commenting are from outside the U.S. But by the numbers, it's like 75% is U.S. Like 25% is outside the U.S. And yet I think most of my biggest commenters are from Europe and South America. So thank you, guys. I'm afraid of social media data being used to silence and disappear critics, like it is used in authoritarian countries. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that's happening. I mean, that's happening right now to the extreme. Yeah, I feel you, LAC. it's it's sad to see critics being, kind of banned. That's why there's not that much humanness in social media either. Whoever's running the social media, there's not that much kind of humanity built into it. Because if there was a little bit of humanity, you wouldn't really need to silence people as long as they're not harming someone. If they're harming someone or they threaten to harm someone, then maybe one should take measures. But anything below than that, I think it always deserves a little bit more nuance. So it's sad that sometimes there's these kind of just mass bans. Has New York is multicultural city, says Julio. Maybe you could expand on the idea of what you have to do in the video with Mary Jane and other people living in New York City, like a Japanese and French. Oh, you mean do another video like I did with Mary Jane, this about a Japanese New Yorker and a French New Yorker? Maybe. I haven't met any. I collaborate with Mary Jane because she's a content creator. But maybe I'll... There's one tricky thing. Not all groups that come here go out to eat their own food. But maybe that'll be a fun video in of itself. So maybe I can find a French New Yorker and go to these French restaurants or French places to eat. And they wouldn't go because maybe they cook at home anyway. But maybe they can critique it. Maybe I'll do a video like that. But I have YouTube, says Shirley. Nothing is free. Yeah, nothing is free. But should we not strive to continually optimize our economy and our systems and our way of making business? Should we not strive to pay our artists better? I'm not talking about just me, or I'll figure things out. I'm already figuring things out. So I'm not speaking from a place of need, but I think just in general, should we not pay our artists more? Should we not figure out a way to monetize content that is deeper, a little bit more substantive, intellectual, spiritual? Should we not monetize? Should we not figure out ways to support acts of kindness? I don't know. I think there's a lot of good questions to ask. I mean, we're already doing a good job, but that's the thing is, I don't think we're doing a bad job as humanity. I think we could do a better job, and it's not bad to do better. I think it's important to not feel bad or feel self-conscious, because the moment you start getting to self-consciousness, even on a collective level as a society, which we are right now, we're getting self-conscious as a society, it kind of limits us, because when you're feeling self-conscious, you end up kind of overthinking every single move. Holland says, the problem is that people don't see the chain/relation between certain things anymore. Or you pay YouTube with a monthly fee or microtransactions. Right, yeah. We don't see the full chain or the relation between these things, because they're just not too well talked about. It's not easy, it's not too monetizable to talk about these topics. Surely you watch grocery hauls. Oh, cool. That's awesome. My craft DIY channels do it too. They use Skillshare as their sponsored posts, for example. Cool. I mean, that's cool that you got Skillshare as a sponsor. I mean, Skillshare is actually a pretty cool company, because they are making educational content that's ad-free. That's awesome. But yeah. It's cool. Congratulations, Jans. That's awesome. I gotta check out your DIY channel. Hey, you're from Brian GA. Oh, so cool. Everyone else, let us know where you're watching from. Steve says, do you think that with the lockdown in the UK, your tour is doubtful? That's what I'm wondering. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know. I really would love to go to the UK. I would love to go to the UK. In terms of the pandemic, we have to be getting close to opening up the borders soon with mass vaccination. So, if mass vaccination does work, or at least they vaccinate the people who want to be vaccinated, and that works in limiting the spread, then hopefully we can travel again. That would be nice. I it's a bit hard to think that this is going to take more than a year, but who knows? Who knows? The one thing I'm more worried about is civil unrest than COVID. So I'm pretty optimistic that the UK will figure out their vaccination strategy, and the US as well soon. So we'll be able to travel once again. I actually changed my age to 65 to 70 or something on Google to see what would happen. And now my ads are being geared to that age now. Right, Linda? It happens immediately. It happens immediately. And the people in my ads have gray hair. And yeah, sometimes you'll see the same ad. It's just a different person that looks a little bit more like you. It's a bit creepy. It's a bit creepy. Like, don't you think? It's a bit creepy that these companies are just kind of like, it's not actually someone behind the keyboard, but that's how it feels like. It's someone behind the keyboard. It's like, oh, you're 70 years old. Oh, you actually have gray hair. All right, we're going to switch this person. We're going to put a person with gray hair on this ad, and now they look more like you, so you're more likely to click on it. I mean, it's a bit creepy. I think it's a bit creepy. If I were to do that on my show, it'd be creepy. So, power up at Urbanist. Hello. Hey, Lady Coach. Nice to see you here. Welcome. Linda says, I was so annoyed because I'm 23 and I think my age group is 18 to 23. Yeah, it's 18 to 24, I think, is the official age group. And I get ads that don't show me anything I want anyways. Yeah. I mean, I don't pay attention to ads too much, but I am a little bit worried that they are still getting into me, even though I consciously am not aware of wanting to click on them. Canyon says, some artists make a ton of money. Picasso was rich. Was he? I'm not entirely sure. Was he actually rich? I mean, there are artists that became well off, like Andy Warhol. Definitely. I think it's with the entire artist making money thing, it's one comment that I end up hearing a lot is figure out a way to make money. Be better at making money. Be better at making a business. And I get that. I luckily have fun. I already have fun trying to figure out the business of art. I like it. But why should we force all artists across the board to know about business, learn about business, and do business? And you can say, oh, but that's the nature of the world. That's how everything is built. But why? That is only an indicator that our system is built not to incentivize art, but to incentivize business. And the deeper question is, why do we choose to incentivize business over art? I'm not saying one is important or the other, but why are we, as a society, putting importance on one or the other? Is business actually more important than art? Just like in cities, is the car more important than the pedestrian? Why are we making that decision collectively as a society? And is there a better way? I think even the answers are not so important. I think the asking the questions is more important. Shulio says, you're doing a great job. Urbanist is very different from other Walker channels. Oh, I'm so glad, Shulio. Thank you so much. I appreciate the compliment. And Reg, love your content, bro, and intellect on many issues. Oh, I'm so glad, Reg. Thank you so much for tuning in. Glad you're also a fellow content creator. Reg, for anyone who doesn't know, makes videos. Also is similar to like walking exploration videos in I think in Detroit, if I'm correct. I get weight loss ads for some reason. Yeah, I mean Canyon. Somehow the social media apps know something about you, and, and they think that you want to lose weight. And the thing is, who's to say that these algorithms, they're not actual people behind the scenes? It's now an AI. It's artificial intelligence. Who's to say that you need to see more weight loss ads? And who's to say that that's something that you actually need to be deterred away from, that you don't need to be shown? Because right now, if social media keeps showing you tiny little ads of weight loss, anyone in the world, you can be the smartest person in the world, you can be the dumbest person in the world, anyone is going to be susceptible to subliminal messaging, to subconscious suggestion. You can read about this in countless psychological literature. The power of suggestion is extremely strong, even with the most intelligent, aware people. It still works if you're fed some idea over and over and over and over and over again from a variety of sources. You will start thinking that. It's like the movie Inception. They incept idea into your mind and it will start to grow. Think about this. This also applies to positive things. You end up like, for example, tasting a cup of coffee. And maybe for the first time in your life, you had a great cup of coffee. Maybe you went to Italy and you had that great cappuccino. And you're like, ooh, wow, this is good. And then as you're walking around, you see all these other coffee bars. But you already had that one cappuccino, you don't need any more. But you see the people drinking their own cappuccinos. And that gets into your mind because you're like, oh, wow, they're having fun drinking those cappuccinos. And then you're searching online and you see, like me, I'm making a show and I'm drinking a cup of coffee. You're like, oh, Ariel likes coffee. And then you go see a movie. And in that movie, two characters are discussing some pivotal scene. Maybe they're falling in love over the cup of cappuccino. Every time you see that little cup of cappuccino in all these different areas, you're going to start thinking, I want another cup of cappuccino. Now, that is not a bad thing. We find many things that we love in life through that process. What I don't like, personally, and what I'm worried about, so yeah, worried, but not in a kind of very negative personal way, but what I'm worried about in the bigger kind of societal way, is that companies are taking advantage of that. And they're making us want things that are not actually really that good for us. They're making us want weight loss pills. They're making us want a gigantic 80-screen-inch TV and a PS5 to play countless hours of Call of Duty, or whatever is your jam. They're pushing you in that direction, and ultimately, of course, you always have free will, but The power of suggestion kind of sneaks up on you to the point where you think, oh, on my own volition, I want to buy that 80-inch screen TV to play Call of Duty on this new PS5. You think on your own volition you're doing that, but it wasn't entirely off your free will. It was because you were fed those ideas slowly but surely. Now, of course, if you're aware of how you're being fed, then you're a little bit less susceptible. Steve says, rich after he died. Yeah. So, Picasso was rich after he died. There's a few artists that were rich during their lifetime, like Michelangelo, Andy Warhol. Keith Haring made a bunch of money during his lifetime. But some artists were rich after they died. You know, like, what good does that do to the artist? There was a news report where you speak, when you speak out loud to Alexa or Google working about something, you get an ad about that thing on the feed. Yeah. If I were to tell Google about something, I might get an ad about that. Lady Coach says, you're impressive. You give smart opinions about this and more knowledge to you. Thank you, Lady Coach. Ooh, I'm getting a lot of comments. Picasso was rich when he was alive. Okay, cool. Thank you. But again, he's an exception. Why do we have to force every artist to be a Picasso or Andy Warhol? I mean, is John Basquiat, what is it, Jean-Luc Basquiat? I forgot. I always forget his middle name. But Basquiat, is Basquiat less of an artist because he didn't know how to make any business? Is Herman Melville less of a writer because he could barely sell a copy of what's the name of that book with the huge whale? Moby Dick. He barely sold a copy of Moby Dick. Herman Melville. Is he less of a writer? Did he not deserve to be a popular writer because he couldn't figure out how to sell more copies of Moby Dick? Why do we have to live in that society? Why do we have to continue to perpetuate that type of system? Why couldn't Herman Melville make something at least? Easily monetize more, the few initial copies he sold of Moby Dick. Why couldn't Basquiat, somehow make a little bit better a living and find a little bit more health for his mental health? Why? I don't have an answer, but I think it's important to ask. Linda, no coffee this time of night. Yeah, I won't be drinking coffee. Linda says, LOL, or when people in the live chat ask you to get coffee over and over again. Yeah, that ends up kind of influencing me. Right. It does, Linda. Picasso's estate was appraised at $250 million in 1980. Some say it was at billions. But it was long after he was dead. So he might have been rich, or might have made a good living during his lifetime because he was a savvy artist. But definitely he was not worth billions during his lifetime. Shirley says, socialism, not for me. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a either or scenario. I think a lot of people think if we start supporting artists, or not even supporting, but if we rethink of systems, because it's not really going. That might be the easy way to support, quote unquote, artists or doctors and teachers, to quote unquote support them. We'll do a socialist system to support them, because in this system, the people who make money are the ones who are savvy business people, advertisers, big media, business owners, of like stupid little stuff that they use advertisement to get more big bucks. Stock market investors, everything. Those are the guys that make money. Everyone else needs support. That's socialism, right? Which is an entire conversation on its own. But that's kind of a lazy way of thinking about it. Why can't we use our already the format of our capitalistic systems to enable a wider range of people to thrive? Because it's not the way that our format of our government is not inherently, at least not fully inherently, limited to business people, business-minded people making all the big bucks. I don't think so. I think there's still some hope in the format of our capitalistic democracy, that we can get people to have the business environment to monetize art, to monetize exploration, to monetize a bunch of things. It's a tricky topic to even to kind of conceptualize, because it takes quite a while. What is your 1, 5, and 10-year goal for social media? Ooh, great question. I mean, I'm having this conversation now. I'm bashing on social media, but at the same time, I love social media. I love making content. I love film. I love video. I love TikTok videos. I love all these things. Like in any point in our lives, we have things that we disagree with, and we have things we really agree with. Not everything has to be all or nothing. So for me, I will continue making content on social media nonetheless. And I would love to make more specifically movies and content that people can directly buy or sign up for a streaming service. Like, I would love to collaborate with Netflix or Discovery to bring a show to them on their platform. So somehow I can make content that is not dependent on ads, because I don't want to be fully dependent on YouTube ads or growing to a massive degree on YouTube. I would love to find a way either to make everything crowd-funded or some type of subscription model, so people can enjoy walking shows and exploration shows and live streams, and really bigger and bigger and more interesting live streams, in a way where I'm not really depending on making a catchy, fun, quirky video on YouTube where it'll guarantee 1 million views. Because if I want to grow big on YouTube, then I would have to start kind of changing the content. Maybe that's a good thing, and maybe that's something fun to try, but there might be also a better way to make better, deeper, more substantive content that gets people hooked, gets people immersed, gets people really learning something deeply about life, and gets people feeling good. Because actually, ultimately, I don't want to make content that gets you... I used the word hooked just a few moments ago. I actually don't want to hook you. I want to hook you just for those 2 hours. I want to hook you just for that hour that you watch a live stream. Those 2 hours you watch a movie. I want to hook you for maybe those 6 or 7 hours for one season of a television show. I want to hook you just for that. But I also want to make a show, a movie, a series that you're hooked for that series, for that movie, for that live stream. But once you finish it, you yourself want to go out. You yourself want to experience life in some deeper way. I've seen many movies that have inspired that within me. Like recently I saw the movie Soul. I saw that movie Soul. I immediately got to writing. I stopped the movie. I finished the movie, super satisfied, super blown away, and I opened up my laptop and started writing. That's a great piece of entertainment, in my opinion, way better than getting this catchy YouTube video that gets you hooked and watching endless YouTube videos. I don't want to do that just to make a bigger buck on YouTube, not necessarily. So that's what I want to do, is kind of just make content that inspires people on a deep level. And the way it would look like in 1, 5, and 10 years is, I want to do live streams that are really kind of out there, like really crazy. Like I want to show you the pyramids of Giza on live video. I want to go to the Antarctic, which I've talked about in the previous live stream. I want to somehow organize. I won't do it myself, but I want to organize a live stream up Mount Everest. Like I want to do crazy live streams that will take you to far away places and or cities as well, and just immerse you. Like I want to do a live video that takes you in a rave in Berlin and show you the history of raves and electronic music in Europe through actually experiencing a live rave. So that's why I want to do a live video. And then a little bit further ahead, I just want to make really fun movies. I want to make movies that make you feel good. That's my prerogative. I want to make movies that make you feel good. Like that is 100% my now main and only goal in life, is to make people feel good, inspire goodness. And as I chatted with that at this current moment ain't gonna be that easy to monetize on a mass scale on YouTube or on Facebook. But maybe there's other ways. And definitely I see Netflix or a Discovery or Amazon Prime being one of those methods. Or maybe finding out ways to still make those YouTube videos, but fund it in other interesting ways. So I'll use my own business savvy for that, which I'm excited for. Shirley says, I think you're coming into a fork of the road. Ooh, what are you referring to? I think the same thing as well. But I'm curious why you think so. Steve says, it's like me. I collect swords. People think that it's negative because it's a deadly weapon. But no, it's an art. I feel that you like keeping the scabbard, and it's a piece of art where you can touch and use. Right. Anything can be beautiful as long as you're not harming people, but anything else can be beautiful. Even if it's a sword or it's a gun or something like that, it could be beautiful. I think a lot in our lives, we think it's either all good or all bad. Good, evil. You're right, you're wrong. We think in those kind of, I say royal we, not any of you specifically who's tuning in right now, but like a royal we is where we're pulled by this duality, when I don't think life is that didactic, that binary. Life is all what's in between. Life is not just birth and death. Life is what's in between. So to say something is bad or good, I think is too simplistic. Please, no sad love movies where she jumps off the bridge, says Shirley. Oh, don't worry. I mean, so in terms of movies or even of a live stream, whenever I tell you a story, I think of this. If I'm going to take you through the gutter, I want to leave you at the playground. I want to leave you at the field of grass. So, or like you can think of it like I think a better analogy is if I'm going to take you a drive through the neighborhood and I take you through the very bad parts of the neighborhood, I don't want to leave you there. I want to maybe drive you through the bad parts of the neighborhood, but leave you in a great area of the neighborhood, in a beautiful park of the neighborhood. Because I think I've noticed a lot of movies take you to the bad parts of the neighborhood, but they're too lazy or don't figure out and not creative enough or whatever to leave you in a place better than when you were when you started the film. So what a lot of films, TV shows, YouTube videos do is that they end up taking you to a lower place, way, way low, and sometimes very low, to leave you just a bit higher. So you feel satisfied in that very moment in time because you were dragged through the shit. And like Les Mis, there's a scene where literally he was dragged through shit. And then he lifts you just a little bit higher than that. You weren't better off when you started the film or the TV show or the YouTube video. You were better off in that journey, but not better off than the beginning. So I think it's important to leave people better off than they were when they first started the film. So yeah, I mean, I may do a plot point where something like that happens, but if I gotta figure out a way, if that happens in the film where someone, you know, I probably wouldn't do a movie about suicide. It's something I really don't care to explore. But if I were to talk about a loved one dying tragically, I better find a way to leave you learning something about that tragic death and leaving you way better than the beginning of the film. That's very hard to do. It's not an easy task. Like Shakespeare was able to do it. There's a few people out there who can do it. It's not that common. 500 Days of Summer is another good example of a movie that does that, where it does take you through kind of a very bad position, but it leaves you in a pretty good place. At least it did for me. Let's see. Beethoven was the worst lyricist ever. Oh, Mysterious Foo? Really? Well, he did write any lyrics. So, rich can sponsor artists and give them money like they did to Beethoven. Kenyon, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if there was a more of a better way of doing that. The thing is, there's a lot of quid pro quo when it comes to the arts. If someone's going to give you money, they want something out of it, generally. So, at least, especially when it's a bigger amount. So, I'm not sure if there's actual patrons out there. There might be patrons, but I don't think it's super commonplace yet, where people are giving patronage to artists without expecting necessarily anything out of in return. Even on Patreon, you see like people on Patreon are like making extra content. So in essence, they're charging for the content. So a lot of Patreon pages are not just people donating because they like the stuff you're already making. That's why I'm not so super focused in building a robust membership or Patreon only content. I tried doing that when I first started about 3 years ago with Facebook supporters, but I ended up realizing I still want to make content that's available for free to people, at least with these live streams. So I want to focus on that. And if someone wants to give their patronage, I let them know that it's no strings attached. Okay, we have a lot of comments. I'm so glad people are commenting. Shirley says I could be a priest. Could live with the celibacy part though. But that's an amazing comment. I take that as a compliment. Thank you. Soul was amazing. Oh yes, it was, Linda. Sorry, off topic, but do you like the Native American flute music? I do. I love Native American flute music. Really good music. Using your talents in different ways not to change. What do you mean, Shirley? Shulio says, what software do you use to put questions on screen? Great improvement from yesterday. Yeah, thank you, Shulio. I'm using a free app actually called H2R Graphics. I'll actually write it down. Might as well. Let's do it. H2R Graphics. That's what I'm using. Like the show This Is Us. Man, that show gives me so many emotions. Yeah. I can imagine. The creator of the show really does take one in a kind of roller coaster ride. Does that show leave you in a better place than you were in the beginning? Because he did a movie, the same creator of the show, of This Is Us. I actually filmed behind the scenes of that film. I think it was called This Is Life or Life It Is. I forgot what was the name of the movie. But it got terrible reviews. I was excited to see it because I thought it was going to be an awesome movie. When I saw that trailer, I was blown away. And then when I worked for the film, I was like, oh my God, I got to watch this movie. And it's starring Oscar Isaac and Samuel L. Jackson. And I'm getting terrible reviews. And I end up reading the reviews to find out why did people hate it so much. And it's because a massive tragedy happens in the beginning of the film, and the entire rest of the film is people wallowing in sadness. And that's it. That kind of sucks. It's not a fun movie. Have you seen Lonely Guy with Steve Martin? It sums all up sometimes. I gotta check it out. No, I haven't seen it, Steve. Now I'm excited. That is really interesting. Lonely Guy. I'll check it out with Steve Martin. Steve Martin, a great actor. In no way want this conversation down the sad path, but because you're in New York City, I wanted to ask if they're going to change the glass of the vessel. Jen, I'm not entirely sure. It's so sad that is the case. It's so sad that is the case. For people who don't know, there's already been 3 suicides off the vessel. I think in pretty quick succession. And people are going through tough times right now because of the pandemic and all the economic issues that are happening. But yeah, it's sad that we have this kind of beautiful view, this interesting landmark, and people have been misusing it for their own demise. It ruins it for everyone else. And I want to... I'm not saying that those people were bad, because they weren't. They were going through something tough. My heart goes out to their families. But I think even an action like that has consequences beyond your own demise. You know, that has a consequence on your family, that has a consequence on a landmark, even something like that. It sounds very simplistic compared to a human life, but it's sad that circumstances like those end up limiting the enjoyment of a thing like the vessel. So I don't know what's going to happen with it. Life is both nightmares and dreams. Indeed it is. Indeed it is, Mysterious Fu Lin Yu. I love your name. The Mysterious Fu Lin Yu. That's a great name. Whoa. Honestly, I don't know if it leaves me better. It honestly feels like real life. Oh, okay, cool. The show This Is Us. Yeah. And I feel so many emotions during and after. But I'm still addicted to this show. Yeah, yeah. And the show can't leave you too happy, otherwise it'll just be very few seasons. I'm seeing you in the live stream with Fran Lebowitz walking in Manhattan. Oh, cool. I would love to do it. Oh my god, I got to find out a way to reach out to Fran Lebowitz. That would be so cool to do a live stream with her. And I don't live in New York City. What's the Vessel? Vessel is the like the stairways to nowhere in the middle of Hudson Yards. So search my video of Hudson Yards, and it looks like a huge honeycomb, and it's like a staircase to nowhere. You just walk upstairs and see a view. That's all you do. I don't mean to make light of the events, but yeah, that's the gist of the staircase. Ariel, it is really good, and Charles Gooden are brilliant and buy cardboard life-size statuettes. Oh, interesting. Of a lonely guy. And it's a monument that was built. Yeah. Yeah, a monument. All right. Well, we had a lot of people tuning in. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so many people tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any last remaining things you want to talk about. I'll be brief. We can do a lightning round. So we'll do a lightning round of 5 minutes. And I might try to find where I can see Lonely Guy. So yeah. The Vessel was featured in one of my puzzle games. Oh, that's cool. MAR. And again, thank you so much for the book, by the way. And Linda, is it the same Linda? No, it's a different Linda. Thank you so much for the book, MAR. I appreciate it. It's right there in my night table. Shirley says, sweet dreams. Where is your next walking tour? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't planned that ahead. I want to do more Queens, so you'll definitely see more Queens. That's for sure. Definitely see more Queens. And The Vessel is one of your puzzle games. And what's the plan with meeting Rob from Walk Ride Fly? Ooh, sorry. That's a great question. I just want to switch the camera angle just for fun. That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know when. Maybe we gotta do something about coffee again. He's a really cool guy, and he was really interesting to chat with. The black shadow behind you makes it look like you have a man bun. Ah, yes. Does it? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But no man bun. I just have a lot of hair. A lot of hair on the top. Very little hair around. Coffee. Yeah. You'll definitely see some coffee soon. Someone just sponsored a coffee. I mean, sorry about that. They were so kind enough to sponsor the coffee. Ooh. There we go. You can see two of me right there. Just wanted to show you something cool. What's your favorite book? And Victoria, my favorite book of all time is I love The Alchemist. The Alchemist is one of my favorite books of all time by Paulo Coelho. Great book. Are you afraid that what can happen in the U.S. after the riots? Yes. I'm worried what's going to happen this year. I mean, not this year. This upcoming week. I'm worried what we're in store for. So I've already said this a few times over. I don't think I'll rest until there's a change in administration, and until there's a change in administration, I think I'll feel a little bit more calmer, at least here in the U.S. Hey, I read The Alchemist. Are you Greek? No, Puerto Rican. Dylan says it's a great book. Oh, it is, Dylan. And I feel I can take your channel anywhere, topic wise, and you'll have a lot of followers because you have an awesome personality, says Lorene. Oh, Lorene, thank you so much. That is like the coolest compliment. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. You're so kind. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this chat, feel free to subscribe to this channel. This is not Urbanist. This is Ariel Vieira. This is my own personal channel. Let me know if you want to see more these kind of casual philosophical chats. I had 57 people tuning in at the same time, which is actually really good for a first time. That's awesome. So let me know if you want to see more of these chats. I have a feeling that these could be really cool chats, and maybe I'll find out a way to add guests to them in the future, like actual people to chat with me. So because I've had great chats with like people like Mary Jane and Action Kid, and you've met a few other people on my show, and I have a feeling we could really talk something very different from travel and kind of get in deeper, aside from just me chatting as well. So let me know if you want to see more of these. Subscribe to my show, to my channel, Ariel Vieira. And thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate all of you. I'll continue doing the philosophical chats on Urbanist once a month. And the rest will be here. Maybe I'll make a schedule at some point. So thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I gotta find out a new tagline that is not Keep Being Awesome, because this is my own show. This is not Urbanist. So I'll tell all of you, stay curious, my friends. Have a good day. Bye-bye.